What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. So about 2 months ago now, we had some very exciting news that came out sort of mid Six Nations that there was in fact a new rugby game coming out. Rugby 24 got announced at a nacon event. We had a very short 8-second trailer to let us know this game was going to be coming out. We didn't really get to see anything from the game. It was only 8 seconds long. It was mainly just to show off that they were going to have the official licensing for the World Cup and that it was going to be coming out literally one day before the World Cup started. Now, that came out 2 months ago, and we've heard very little news about the game, and you have to ask the question already, should we start getting worried about this game? Now, we've been doing a series on the channel going through the World Cup playing as the USA, and along with a lot of other Rugby 22 videos on the channel, one of the comments I see a lot from you guys is, Mad Dragon, any news about Rugby 24? You got any little inside scoops for us? And unfortunately, the answer is no, and it's beginning to build some big questions about just what we can expect from this game. So like I already mentioned, it was mid Six Nations when we got to find out about this. This is just looking at the videos on my channel. You can see a whole bunch of different Six Nations videos that were coming out at the time. But this one here was what got announced. Rugby 24 has been announced. We got to go through that 8-second game trailer. The video actually did pretty well. We got 2,500 views. For a channel my size and a game as niche as a rugby video game, that's actually pretty good on the channel. But a lot of people were excited. I was excited for the game. There was a lot of interesting news of the fact that they had the World Cup licenses. bigantstudios were going to be taking part in this game as well now, which I was really looking forward to see a new developer get a handle on it. Now, as you can see here, this video came out 2 months ago. I think I got that video out the day it got announced or the following day it got announced. That was pretty much what we got to see. Now, 2 months has gone by, and I thought it would just be useful to go over the information that we do know about the game or what's been updated since then, because to be honest, there's really not a lot. If we go over to the Rugby 24 Twitter page, of course, they just recycled the Rugby 22. They actually did change all this logo and pictures and stuff back when they announced the game. I just didn't really cover that in any of the video. Of course, we have their sort of pinned tweet to sort of show, oh, look, it's this game is coming out. Now, since that actually happened, there's been very little to talk about in terms of news from them. This is still talking about Rugby 22. There was a couple of other bits just to show off some of the other nacon games that were coming out. Of course, nacon are also involved with Rugby 24, so it makes sense they're retweeting a bunch of the nacon stuff. Then we keep coming across these sorts of things. They keep showing off games that were happening from the Six Nations, or what do you think about what was going on in the top 14? And I have had a look through some of these things, and a lot of people just sort of asking the same thing. Are there any updates on Rugby 24? And they keep saying, we will give you updates soon. Now, you can see this came out in April 24th. They said there was going to be updates. There's still no updates, and it sort of goes hand in hand with what I was sort of hoping we weren't going to have. Now, for those of you who haven't already seen it, I have a massive review video out for Rugby 22. That was about a year onwards, a 2-hour-long video diving into everything about the game. And one of the things that I really did sort of ransack in that video quite a bit was the way the game is released. I was really unhappy with the game being released the way it was. It was so hard to get any news, any updates about the game. And actually, during the release of that game, I actually did a very similar video to this one. If you look here, we have here the Rugby 22 official first look. This was me looking at the first time we got to see the trailer. This came out in July of 2021 is when I filmed this video. The video after it is what's happening with Rugby 22. Now, I did that video in December. We waited 6 months between that trailer coming out and being able to do any sort of videos about the game afterwards. And I was really hoping it was going to be more in line with the way they did Rugby 20. Rugby 20 got announced. They had a 3-phase beta that allowed people who pre-ordered the game to have the game in early access, give them some bugs, give them some feedback, and that way they could improve the game through each of the beta phases before release. Now, taking a look at what actually happened with Rugby 20, the first beta survey thing that I could find anything about was here. This was from their Facebook page. Now, this is about as good as I could do in terms of finding it quickly before filming this video, but it looks like this one came out in October of 2019, and this was the Beta 1 survey. So the beta was already over at this point, so it probably came out about a week or so before that, maybe 10 days before that. Now, the actual game for Rugby 20 got released in January, which means it went October, November, December, January. So we had 3 months worth of betas before the game got released. Now, if we compare this to Rugby 24, they've said the game's going to release on September 7th, 2023. And if we do the same 3 months backwards, you go August, July, June, and actually the beta was already sort of being announced before then. So realistically, start of June, end of May is when we should be hearing about beta phases for it to be in line with what they did for Rugby 20. Now, like I said, they announced that this game was going to be coming out in March, which only gave them about 6 months to get to September. We're 2 months into that 6 months and we've still heard no updates, and there's still been no update trailers, any announcements of the teams, any gameplay videos, any announcements about pre-orders, or any sort of beta gameplay. Now, after losing about a third of the time between announcement and release with absolutely nothing coming out, it does make you worry a little bit. So I thought I'd go check out what was going over on at Big Ant Studios, because Big Ant Studios, of course, have been releasing AFL 23. It's been one of their sort of big flagship games. I've seen a lot about it. I've never really played an AFL games. I don't really know the rules of AFL games. But one thing that I've been seeing from a lot of different reviewers, a lot of different content, people have pretty mixed reviews about AFL and the way it's launched. I quickly just sort of Googled what the general reviews were. There's a couple of extremely funny headlines, like "It's like dancing with your sister." Man, they went hard over at the Press Australia. But across the board, it seems to be being reviewed at sort of 5 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 63%, 5 or 6 out of 10. I have seen on Twitter that there is like an AFL tournament. They've actually had to cancel it because of the state the game was in on release. Now, this doesn't fill me with confidence, knowing for a fact we're less than 4 months away to this game being out, and we've seen nothing from it, no updates. And one of the big games for them this year of AFL 23 has already sort of got bombed in terms of people not being very happy with the release state and the way it's playing and the way it looks. So for me, Rugby 24 is already looking a little bit shaky on the ground. But I thought I'd give you guys an update because so many of you do ask about this. So many of you love the rugby gaming content on the channel. I thought this would be a bit of an overview to see the game as it is and where we're up to with it. But I'm very interested to know your thoughts down in the comments section. Are you guys worried about how this game is going to be coming out? Are you guys thinking, hey, you know what? I believe in Big Ant Studios. I reckon they'll be able to smash this game out of the park. I'm more than happy for it to be quiet up to release as long as the game is good. I'm really looking forward to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this one today, make sure to give it a like. I promise I'll be keeping on top of all the news as it eventually comes out about Rugby 24, but on the channel is, of course, some Rugby 22 content. We are playing through the World Cup with the USA at the moment. If you just want to quench that thirst for a bit of rugby gaming content, make sure to subscribe to the channel to know when all the latest video comes out. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.